one thing for sure is whoever the head coach is, he's gonna have a tough challenge, right? He's already have no draft picks. He's gonna have a lot of huge salaries that he's gonna have to handle. But before he answers all that, the question is, who is gonna be the head coach? I'm gonna give you my top three choices. We're gonna discuss it next. Let's cue the intro.
It's the city of the dream team. Hakeem, Turing, Beyonce, yeah, me. And I remember hot summer, hot winter. I couldn't fight, so the block.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to 713 Houston Sports. It's Mr. 713. Guys, now, this is probably the most important hire in franchise history. You now have a quarterback that you're going to have to build around in year 5. You have two cornerstone pieces for your offensive line in Tunsil and Titus Howard. The question is, which head coach is going to come here and make this Houston Texans team a Houston Texans contender? I'm going to give you my top 3. Let's start off with the one that everybody is hype about, Eric Bieniemy. Eric Bieniemy is the offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs. A guy who is supposedly calling plays down there in KC. Everybody knows what KC does. One of the best offenses in NFL history. Last year won the Super Bowl. The year before that were one game away from the Super Bowl. This year looked to be on pace to go ahead and win the Super Bowl or make a deep playoff run. They have a high-powered offense. And Eric Bieniemy is going to attract a lot of names because he's the offensive coordinator. He's learning under head coach Andy Reid. The last head coach to win a Super Bowl from the Andy Reid tree was Doug Peterson, and that was a few years ago. Eric Bieniemy is going to be a hot name. He had a lot of interviews last year. He didn't get the job, for whatever reason. If this year is not going to be the case, he is going to be a head coach this year. People love that he is a player's coach. He's going to, be sincere, but be firm with them. A lot of people are really hyped for Mr. Eric Bieniemy. Number 2 is Robert Saleh, defensive coordinator from the San Francisco 49ers. A bunch of people are on the Saleh train. He talks about what makes a great coach. He talks about how bringing other coaches in and let them do work is what he's going to want to do. Delegate power. He's young. He's flashy. He is the guy who does the antics on the sideline, who is screaming, who is jumping, who is getting players hyped. That's type of stuff that I really like to see from a head coach. Robert Saleh is somebody who, once again, is going to be a head coach next year. The question is he going to be for the Houston Texans? He's going to bring he's going to be a defensive-minded head coach. He's doing a great deal with the San Francisco 49ers defense. Last year was one of the best defenses in the NFL. This year, he's had a lot of injuries. They've lost Nick Bosa, Sherman, Solomon Thomas, and yet they're still a very good defense. And a lot of that is credit to Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh, once again, is going to attract a lot of names. Now, the third one that a lot of people are not fond of, not fond of, but don't know yet, and that is Joe Brady, offensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers. Now, Joe Brady came from LSU. Last year was the offensive coordinator, was a huge reason why Joe Burrow was an absolute monster, won a national championship, and he's now in Carolina with Teddy Bridgewater, Roby Anderson, Miles Davis, all those guys who are looking good, and their offense is looking good. Teddy Bridgewater is looking like a top 10, top 15 quarterback. Rodney Anderson is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. They lost Christian McCaffrey, no problem. Miles Davis is back there looking like a Pro Bowl running back. This offense for the Carolina Panthers is absolutely deadly. They could go toe-to-toe with whoever they're going against. They're not scared of fling it. They've done it with players who haven't really been special their whole career. Now, all those 3 are guys that could come here and do a big difference. Who do I want? Now, before I'm going to let you know who I want, how about you drop who you think I want in the comments? I'm going to give you 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I like Joe Brady. Joe Brady, to me, is the head coach. It should be the next head coach for the Houston Texans. If you look at what he's doing with the Carolina Panthers, they shouldn't be winning games. Their offense shouldn't be this good. You have Teddy Bridgewater, who was released by the Minnesota Vikings and then was let go. By the Saints. He might have been on another team but he might have got cut from or traded away from. But Teddy Bridgewater is looking absolutely good. Robbie Anderson, who was decent in New York for the Jets, was not thought of as a good wide receiver, was good as a good number two, definitely great number three wide receiver, is looking like a capable number one. They lost Christian McCaffrey. Hey, no problem. They have Miles Davis, the running back, who's looking absolutely fantastic in Carolina. That's the type of coach that excites me. And also, he's 32 years old. He's 31 years old. He's going to relate to Deshaun Watson being young. Joe Brady, for me, is going to come and turn this offense around. He's going to make this a high-powered offense. But we all know, and this is the main problem, this is the main dilemma, is we all know the Houston Texans can score. It's the defense that needs help. That's why a lot of people are gravitating towards Robert Saleh. If it's me, it's Joe Brady, Robert Saleh, Eric Bieniemy. I first was really high on Eric Bieniemy, but it really got me thinking. How much of that offense is him? How much of that offense is Andy Reid's? Pat Mahomes obviously makes Andy Reid look great, makes Eric Bieniemy look great. He's never had success in anywhere else besides Kansas City. Robert Saleh intrigues me a lot too, but we've seen guys, defense coordinators, becoming coaches and don't look good. And if you look at the top, and I'm sorry if this video is going like a little longer, this is a huge hire for the Houston Texans. If you look at the top teams in the NFL, you got to think, well, what kind of coach do they have, right? Let's look at the AFC. Mike Tomlin, he's a defensive-minded coach. Mike Tomlin's doing a fantastic job. You got the Chiefs, offensive-minded coach. The Bills, offensive-minded coach. Mike Vrabel, he's sort of a defensive-minded coach. Jim Harbaugh with the Ravens, offensive-minded coach. Frank Wright, offensive-minded coach. And on the 7th seed, you got the Cleveland Browns, offensive-minded coach. And then you look at the NFC. You have Pete Carroll, who wasn't really an offensive-minded coach. You got the Green Bay Packers with Matt LaFleur, offensive-minded coach. You got the Saints, Sean Payton, offensive-minded coach. You got the Cardinals, offensive-minded coach. The Buccaneers, offensive-minded coach. The Rams, offensive-minded coach. All those teams that I just mentioned on my phone have offensive-minded coaches. And that's why I think Joe Brady needs to be the next Houston Texans head coach. Let me know what you think. Agree, disagree. As always, go Texans. You guys have a blessed day.